Hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Ari and today I am talking about my 5-star predictions for 2024. Now, I personally do 5-star predictions a little bit different than most other creators. I'm not necessarily choosing the books for this video that I think are guaranteed to be 5 stars. I don't pick authors that I've given almost every single book of theirs 5 stars. I don't do new releases. Everything on here is already published. And every occasion, I'm gonna pick an author that I've never read from before. Like, I have no idea if I'm gonna like this person's writing or not. Pretty much every year, most of the books I put on this list are 4 stars, and then there's usually like a DNF or 1 star and then 1 5-star. This is not like a perfect measurement, but typically most of these books that I'm choosing straight for the vibes are 4 stars. So let's get into my 5-star predictions for this year, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. Book number 1 is The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. Now, I've read one novella by this author and I hated it, but it wasn't for her writing, I just didn't like the story. But the story of this sounds like everything that I wanted. It is isolated horror where it seems like we have 2 people, Gyre, I don't, G-Y-R-E. I would pronounce it Gyre because it's my name with a G instead of an A, but I don't think most people pronounce my name with a hard E. I think it's more of like an air. So Gyre and Im are our 2 characters. Gyre been sent into space to explore these caves on a foreign planet, and her only companionship is this chick named Im, who is like overbearingly controlling and drugs her and withholds critical information and is just kind of like all around scummy and abusive. And then caves themselves are kind of creepy, so when it's just you and some abusive person in a cave and then maybe some other creatures, we're not sure. Are there ghosts in the cave? Are there monsters in the cave? Is she just going insane because of all the abuse? I don't know. But the synopsis of this book makes it feel almost perfect for me. So I'm very excited to read that in 2024. Next up, I have When We Were Orphans by Kazuo Ishiguro. I consider Kazuo Ishiguro one of my favorite authors, though I've given him very, very few 5 stars. This man can write things that I am not even vaguely interested in, and I will still give it 4 stars minimum. And I think that's going to be the case with this as well. This is about a guy named Christopher who was born in Shanghai and then his parents disappeared and he became an orphan, obviously due to the title. And 20 years later, he is a detective and he's investigating what happened to his parents. It says something about it, like his parents were kidnapped or supposedly kidnapped. He travels from London back to Shanghai, but Sino-Japanese war is raging at the time, so he is in the middle of a war zone trying to find out what happened to his parents 20 years prior. And yeah, that doesn't particularly sound interesting at all to me, but it's got Kazuo Ishiguro's name on it, so I know I'm going to like this against my better judgment, and hopefully it's a 5-star. Next up, I didn't read any classic novels in 2023, and I wanted to correct that a little bit by at least putting 1 classic novel on my 5-star predictions, and that classic novel is going to be Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is the only Jane Austen book I haven't read yet, and while I haven't given any of Jane Austen's novels other than Pride and Prejudice 5 stars, Pride and Prejudice is one of my top favorite books of all time. I even have a Pride and Prejudice tattoo on my arm right there. This one follows a 27-year-old spinster as she tries to find love and get away from her controlling, potentially abusive family. I doubt Jane Austen uses the word abusive though. Jane Austen has a thing with 27-year-old spinsters. and I'm interested to see where this goes. It's not going to be a love story. Jane Austen does not write love stories. She does, but they're like critiquey love stories. That doesn't make any sense, but yeah, I think I'm gonna like this. We'll find out. Then I have a book where I've never read anything by this author. I have no idea if I'm gonna like this author's writing or if I'm gonna like the story. It just has the vibes of a book that I'm gonna give 5 stars because it's got a lot going for it. And that is Leech by Hiram Innes. And yeah, this is post-apocalyptic horror. I love post-apocalyptic. I love horror. This is about a society where some creature is like taking the brains of doctors, so humanity's not really needed anymore to perform like medical tasks. And then something starts poisoning all of these. I don't know if it's like a hive mind or if it's something else. But yeah, it sounds gross, it sounds creepy, and it's dystopian. So I love dystopian. I'm trying to love horror. If I am going to like a horror, it's going to be a dystopian horror. It's got a lot of things going for it. It also sounds really weird, which y'all know I also like. This one has a good chance, I think. All right, and the last one, maybe cheating on my own rules a little bit, but I'm gonna count it anyway, because this guy has things going for it and it has things that are not going for it, and that is The Narrow Road Between Desires by Patrick Rothfuss. Now, this book is set in his Kingkiller Chronicles universe, but it's not actually part of that series. So, set in the universe but not part of the series, that still counts as not being a part of a series, right? Then another thing going for it is the other novella that is set in this universe is 5 stars, one of my absolute favorite. While I like the Kingkiller Chronicles, I don't actually think the books are 5 stars, especially book 2. So I have more success with his novellas than I do with his full-length novels, even though I like both of them. They're like 4-star material at least. The only thing that this one doesn't have going for it is it follows Bast, and Bast is not my favorite character in the series. So is that going to knock it down? Or am I going to read about Bast history and then decide that I actually like Bast? I guess we'll find out when I read this in 2024, but I think Patrick Rothfuss is gonna do me good, and this is gonna be 5 stars. All right, and those are the 5 books that I am going to give 5 stars in 2024. We will come back in December of 2024 and do a check-in, see if I gave any or all of these 5 stars, and I will see you then, but I will also see you tomorrow for another video. Bye!